Hello, everyone. Thank you again for joining us today for today's webinar. We'll give folks a few more minutes to log in, and we'll get started shortly. All right, we're going to get started here today. Again, thank you for joining the webinar today for contracting opportunities with MCN Build. I just want to go over a few housekeeping notes. Just a reminder to everybody, this webinar is being recorded and will be on our YouTube page later on today or possibly tomorrow. We ask that you just excuse any background noises that you may hear. We are still working remotely, and things may interrupt as we are giving our presentation today. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn today's webinar over to Lindsay Poole. She is the CNHED's Vice President of Strategic Partnership. Excuse me, Lindsay.
Thank you so much, Raina. Appreciate that. And good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this next hour or so. We're very happy to have you here with us today. Today's event is a part of CNHED's Small Business Month campaign. So we've been hosting a number of different events in collaboration with our small business ecosystem partners throughout the course of the month. We've had some virtual, some in person. Hopefully you've had a chance to attend some of our earlier events. If you haven't, and this is your first one, welcome. And for those of you who have been attending, thank you for continuing to stay engaged with us throughout the month of May. The webinar that we have today is the first in a mini series that we're doing around institutional procurement. And it's hosted by CNHED's DC Community Anchor Partnership Initiative, or DCAP. And I know that we have a few businesses here who are a part of DCAP, who have been involved. For those of you who might be hearing about it for the first time, DCAP is our initiative in collaboration with the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development. And it's really focused on helping to grow local minority-owned businesses through increased procurement with a lot of the large institutional buyers in the area. So we work with district-based hospitals, universities, and also utility companies. And today we're very happy to host MCN Build, our first DCAP prime contractor. We actually met MCN Build a couple of years ago when the construction solicitation for the new hospital at CNHED went live. And like so many, we were monitoring and tracking and figuring out, who's going to bid on this work. And we reached out to a lot of the prime contractors and said, hey, if you're looking to find more diverse and local businesses as you're pulling your teams together, please let us know, view us as a resource. And we had a conversation with MCN Build, quickly learned that there was a lot of strong values alignment between our two organizations. And we then invited MCN Build to officially join our work within DCAP as our first prime contractor. We've since had the opportunity to continue to develop our relationship, and it's just been a true partnership since then that we're very grateful for. So I'm sure many of you who are here, you know that MCN Build did win that work through their joint venture with Turner Construction. They also have a number of other exciting projects going on that we'll get to hear about today. So in terms of what we will cover, we'll hear from MCN Build around who they are as a business, how to do business with them if you're interested in potential subcontracting opportunities. And again, what are some of those upcoming projects that are in their pipeline? We'll also hear about their Mentor Protege program. And we're grateful to be joined by the Citadel firm as well, a protege through MCN Build's mentor protege program. So we'll get to hear we'll hear more about that program from both sides as well. So with that, I would love to introduce our guest panelists today, and I'll start with Johnny Seekely, who I've had the joy of working with and learning from over the course of the last couple of years. Johnny, without a doubt, is just such an example of what a true advocate for small, local, and diverse businesses looks like. And I know, again, for a lot of you who are here on this call today, you've interacted with Johnny, you know Johnny well, and I'm confident you can attest to that too. So Johnny Seekely utilizes his 20 years of international economic and community development experience to maximize the positive economic impacts of capital projects in the DMV. As Director of Contracts and Compliance, Johnny leads MCN Build's community engagement and economic inclusion efforts. His experience working in post-conflict and recovery environments allows him to enter communities, including ones hostile to outside developers, and develop relationships with constituents in order to jointly identify and overcome barriers to entry for local individuals and businesses that can serve the project's needs. Prior to joining MCN Build in 2018, Mr. Seekely was a serial entrepreneur. From 2014 to 2018, he founded and ran a social enterprise that created markets for small food makers in the DMV. And from 2007 to 2014, he founded and ran Key Development Services in his native Lebanon. Key Development Services worked with international agencies and NGOs to design, monitor, and evaluate economic development initiatives throughout Africa and the Middle East, as well as Central Asia. We also have with us Ruben Charles II. Ruben Charles is the CEO of Citadel Firm, a general contracting and facilities maintenance company committed to serving the Mid-Atlantic and Central Florida markets with the most innovative solutions rooted in superior quality, uncompromising safety, cost containment, and unparalleled customer service. Mr. Charles possesses more than 23 years of experience in the areas of general contracting and construction management, and real estate investing and corporate finance. He provides strategic direction, executive management, and financial oversight for Citadel while actively cultivating operational leaders within the firm. Citadel Firm has been a certified business enterprise in good standing since its formation and maintains its headquarters in Washington, D.C. And the company has grown in a very deliberate and strategic manner, expanding its Mid-Atlantic operations to Baltimore, Maryland in 2020, and is currently establishing an office in Orlando, Florida. So Johnny and Ruben, we are so happy to have you both here today and very much looking forward to hearing your perspective through this conversation. I do invite folks who are here to drop your questions in the chat or to submit them through the Q&A function, and I'll keep an eye out and pass those on to Johnny and Ruben throughout the conversation, though we will also leave some time at the end to make sure we get questions answered too. So with that, Johnny, over to you.
Thank you so much, Lindsay, for that wonderful introduction. I very appreciate the partnership with CNHED, DCAP, as well as with you. I think we've been able to kind of build some new bridges and kind of advance the work of economic development, throughout the district. I'm going to share my screen here. I actually prepared a presentation this time. Usually I just talk off the cuff, but I think it might be beneficial to have folks see some of the things as well. So we are MCN Build. I'm trying to figure out, there it goes. So we were founded in 2007 by these three gentlemen you saw on the first page. One of those three gentlemen is my big brother, so that's just kind of in full disclosure. It's kind of family, but everybody is family at MCN. In 2011, the first 4 years, like any startup business, kind of you're getting whatever work you can get your hands on, and you're trying to do the best you can with it. So we worked on a lot of different things. Our main flagship program, though, was or project to get us kind of into focus and into our mission was a religious facility, the Baha'i Center out in Northern Virginia. And that kind of really opened our eyes to this world of community development and kind of how to build for a community as opposed to just like a restaurateur or an individual house owner. And in 2011, as a protege ourselves at the Wilson High School project, we started focusing on educational facilities. By 2021, so 10 years after kind of we started in on this focus, we are now kind of recognized in the Mid-Atlantic region as the premier builder of K through 12 educational facilities. Definitely in the district, but we're kind of getting that impression outside, throughout the DMV now. Probably we've done a bunch of work in Arlington with educational facilities, Baltimore, and we're expanding into Prince George's County now. But that was a pretty meteoric rise in 10 years, and it took a lot of attention, focus, and a lot of discipline to be able to make that leap. So it wasn't something that just kind of happened magically. It was very intentional, that growth that we achieved. And with a lot of the newer or even existing business owners, I'm happy to kind of talk and kind of delve a little bit deeper into that journey as well, to kind of see if any of the things we did might be relevant for you to help you make that next step. So looking ahead, what we're trying to do is we're trying to expand our geography and the types of projects. So now that we're solid, we're from the district, right? So we come from overseas, but our home in the US is here in DC. This is where our home is. We focused on education. Now that we've gotten very well established in our home base in education, we're starting to look at education projects outside of the area. We just landed and are about to execute a contract down in the US Virgin Islands to start the school modernization process there, that for the schools that were destroyed in the hurricane a few years ago. So we're looking at to expand our geography in a technical area that we know inside out, which is educational facilities. And then here locally in the district, where we also need to expand the type of work we're doing on. So through a joint venture with Turner, we've gotten into the medical field, and that's an area we see significant potential for growth in. And we're also starting to work a lot more on a residential project, especially those that have mixed or provisions for supported housing. And so that's kind of how we're managing and looking at our growth, kind of education beyond this region, and then within this region, what new technical areas can we start to establish ourselves in before we make the big leap and trying to build a residential project outside of our home territory. So these are kind of the examples of the schools we've modernized. I believe, my eyes are getting so bad I can't even read the school names anymore, but these are schools. I believe the one on the left is McFarland, which is right down the street from where I live. And then here is, again, I believe this is, so we have philanthropy is a big part of what we do. It's part of our core values is giving back to communities. So, and we do that domestically as well as overseas in our home country of Lebanon, and then Ethiopia and El Salvador. And those two countries were picked because the two largest immigrant communities in DC are from Ethiopia and El Salvador. And we've got several Ethiopian and Salvadorian employees that work directly for MCN, but also they're highly represented in our subcontractor ranks. So from our profits, we set aside portions that go to our foundation, and the foundation does things like build digital libraries in places where folks really don't have access, minimal access to education. And then minimal access to kind of technology and being connected with the rest of the world. So we built our first digital library in Lalibela in Ethiopia. And the one pictured here is in San Salvador, right there in Peace Park, which is in the downtown center part of the city. And it's really been transformative. Now that it's opened, you see lots of kids doing various programming, especially with all the access to the both print and digital copies of the books that are available, as well as a lot of small business owners now are able to kind of go in and connect. They didn't have access to high-speed internet. This is one of the few places where the public can access high-speed internet. And we all know what that access means in terms of providing equitable opportunities and just being able to participate in the process. So we're very proud of these projects, and it's great because our workers, both the ones that work directly for us at MCN, as well as the staff working on the projects, the actual workers on the sites that work for our subs know that, hey, I'm building this here, but I know that because of my effort here, I was able to build an incredible space for my compatriots back home, so they can also see some advancement in their life. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that it's a significant portion of what we do, and I think yeah. All right, so it's creating opportunities. It's a foundational value for MCN. We were immigrants that arrived here with the shirts on our backs. If not for the opportunities we were provided, we would not be the business that we are today. We also understand our responsibility as a general contractor, right? We win these big projects and we don't self-perform any of the work. So it's our responsibility. It's in our hands to maximize the economic impact of the projects that we build. And we have that commitment. It's from the top down and the bottom up of ensuring equitable opportunities to bid on projects and to work on projects and to kind of help firms be better and eventually be able to do this work on their own, right, without needing us as the GC. So here's some more examples of things types of projects we work on and build. That's Murch Elementary School in the top right corner. On the bottom right, that's again another picture of students benefiting from the facility in San Salvador. In the middle, we do art programs, just kind of in different communities. So now that you know kind of a little bit about us and who we are and kind of what we're about, what does it take to work with us? I believe we have quite possibly the most simplified, streamlined pre-qualification process in the industry. It starts with a basic form on our website. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes to complete that form. The link for it is up there, as well as my email address. Once that's submitted, that entry comes directly to me. I go through my initial assessment of it. I share it with our pre-construction department, and there you're entered into our pipeline system, which is a system we use to manage procurements under our projects. And then at the same time, I'll share it with a third party called Vertical RMS, and they'll do a financial pre-qualification for us. So, and the benefit of using this third party is in many cases, they might already have worked with you and have already done that assessment of your firm. So then we can just get the report cards. They might just ask for some updated materials. But the other piece, that's all they do. That's all they're focused on. Here, if it's relying on me and our CFO to look at financial statements and balance sheets, the process would take a lot longer. And then I don't see any of your financials. I don't get access to it. I get a report card basically that says, all right, this firm can handle, to be able to enroll them in your subcontractor default insurance. Single projects have this limit, aggregate projects have that limit, and we work on that. So we collect that basic information via the web form. Like I said, it generates a conversation, and then you'll end up, once the form is in, we set up a meet and greet with some of our project management, some of our field ops teams, and some of our pre-con folks. just so they can kind of get to know you and figure out where you are as an entity, right? Because that's significant. Like I said before, we don't self-perform. So we rely on our subs to knock their scopes out of the park. If you knock a scope out of the park, it makes us look great. If you're struggling with your scope, it makes us look like we're struggling, right? So it's very imperative that we get a good understanding and open, honest communication here. Transparent communication goes a long way to that. Some of my favorite subs tell me, hey, Johnny, this is something I can't handle right now. And I say, great, I don't want to waste your time with it, and I don't want to look bad having you do it. So if you can't handle it, that's fine. We'll find another opportunity that you can handle. Or sometimes you might tell me, Johnny, stop throwing me these crumbs. I can handle something much bigger. Look at these last 3 projects we did last year, our bonding, and okay, let's meet. So the intent there is to meet you where you are. Whether you can take on a whole school or 5 classrooms within a school, that's where we're willing to meet you, and we're willing to take the extra steps necessary to make sure that you have a place on one of our projects. I don't know if the sound's coming out, but volunteering, again, I can't stress back to kind of like giving back in the community. So we might work on a contract, 2 contracts, 3 contracts even. Where I've seen the biggest growth and the most growth with subcontractors is when there's also a value alignment, right? If we are what they call, I don't know if they're what the new technical term for it, but when I was still kind of in the academic sphere, it was called the triple bottom line at the time, where you're not just driven by your corporate profits. There's things beyond that are more important to how much you've generated for your shareholders. That's not the end all be all of this world. It's the way the American capitalist system is set up, but that's not how business should be done in our humble opinion. So finding kind of firms that are aligned with us from those value perspectives can see things, I've seen a lot more growth with those firms than with firms that are just focused on maximizing the profit out of the job site. We like to do what's right we like to make money, no doubt about that. We all like to make money, but we also like to do what is right by the community. And so we do a lot of volunteering. We do a lot of events for our staff, for our workforces. And here, let's see, this was the groundbreaking for Manicure, I guess. All right, so getting a contract. It's not an overnight process, right? It takes a while to get it done, but it's better to get the process started so then we can get to that eventual contract, right? It's a matter of finding the right fit. And I've just described some of the things related to that. So that's a value fit. That's a, hey, this scope is right for your firm. And in terms of the trades that we're seeking, we're looking for folks in all trades. I know in particular right now, flooring is something that, if that's something you do, we're very, very keen and interested in talking to you about it. But the same applies across all trades. We want to maximize the competitive process, because that usually ends up in a better deal for our owners, which in our case typically is the communities themselves, right? We're working on public buildings. The ultimate payers are us, the taxpayers. So we want to provide good value to us, the taxpayers, and we want to also sorry, I lost my train of thought there. But yeah, so we're seeking folks across all trades. I'm not limited to just looking for flooring guys. I'd like to have 20 electricians that I can contact to generate interest and get a really good competitive bidding process going to bring that value back to our ultimate beneficiaries. So again, this is just kind of in another way to show how it goes. So it starts with a conversation, right? And then we're committed to doing a mentorship. We've got formal mentor protege programs and specific projects that will formally engage a mentor on. or a protege on. But we also, I mean, just by virtue of getting a subcontract with us, you're going to have access to folks in our organization that you might not have with others. So if you're having issues with compliance, with legal, with contracting, whether it's to do with our job or not, you have access to me, and I'll happily. I was a consultant for 20 years. There's nothing more than I love talking to small business owners and helping them work through their challenges. So I'm a resource that's always available. And then through our formal mentor protege programs, we also establish relationships with front office folks as well as back office folks. So we'll, as a formal protege on a project, you're fully integrated into the project management team. So let's say we have the project manager and 3 assistant project managers. 1 or 2 of those assistant project managers might be coming from your firm if you're a GC. It might be that one of the superintendents on the job site is going to be coming from your firm. So you're going to see hands-on how we go about buying things in the field, how we go about running things in the field, and how we go about building things in the field. It's a really hands-on experience. And then for the back office folks, you know, we make connections with your HR director, with our HR director, so they can talk HR. Our CFO will meet with your finance folks to talk about, hey, what are kind of the tricks of the trade to help improve our bonding capacity and make us look better in front of the surety companies and banks and so on and so forth. And same at the ownership level to kind of think about big picture strategy going over. It's a program we started a few years ago. It's a work in progress. Ruben is one of our first proteges. I'm so happy he's joined us here today and that he'll be able to talk about it from his perspective, because I love getting that feedback, because if nobody tells me anything, I think, okay, we must be doing okay. When I get feedback, it allows me to improve and do things better. So it's a back and forth thing. It's something that, you know, we're not the perfect mentors. I'm not trying to present us as that. We try our best and we try to continuously improve. And I believe that is my phone ringing, which is out of reach intentionally, so I wouldn't be distracted, but I forgot to turn the ringer off, so I apologize for that. All right, so what are actual, let me just go mute this. Sorry, so what are some actual opportunities that are live on the table right now? There's several other smaller ones. I wanted to kind of bring some of our bigger projects to the table here. But we also do some, we have a special projects unit that typically, you know, kind of goes and pursues with new clients and new markets and new construction types. So we do have several. If you're like, oh man, I can't build a hospital, reach out. That doesn't mean you can't work on it. It just means we gotta work a little bit harder to figure out how to fit you in. And if it's not on the hospital job, then there could be a dozen others, right? So we've got the new hospital at St. Elizabeth's. Now it's got an official name. It's called the Cedar Hill Regional Medical Center. Yes. We just got the 100% construction documents last week. Those are been sent out or are in the process of being sent out to different contractors. For that one, it's a joint venture with Turner Construction. So anybody that wins a project there needs to be pre-qualified with Turner. And so if you haven't started that process, good luck. It's a longer, a little bit more complex one. They go into the weeds a lot more than we do with their pre-qualification, but it's not too late. If you're interested in doing it, reach out to me so I put you in contact with my counterpart there who can help streamline and kind of fast track your application. But everything, you know, it's a big job. It's going to be about 260 million construction value. And every trade is going to be required on it. Another job in Southeast that we have is 1231 Good Hope Road. That's currently the 8 Arts and Culture, the Anacostia Arts and Culture Center on Good Hope Road. Wakeif has acquired that. Wakeif is the Washington Area Community Investment Fund, I believe, was what the WA stands for. They're a great owner. It's a phenomenal organization that basically provides assistance to startup and small business owners. And so they're going to set up a new HQ there, basically, right on Good Hope Road. All of the retail shops that are currently there are going to be grandfathered into the new building, so they'll get their kind of updated retail spaces. But this is like a type of developer project that we get involved in, right? We get approached a lot of times by developers that want to build, Class A offices or really high-end residential. We say there's no community benefit to either of those jobs. We're not interested. But when it's developers like Wakeif kind of bringing a really positive, good service to the community, then, and that one, it's smaller compared to one of our school jobs, but it's a mixed use facility. It's going to have offices and retail space. Our two latest school awards are School Without Walls, which is across the street basically from our office in Georgetown, or the West End. Technically where they are is West End, I believe that neighborhood is called now. But that's an educational facility. We're just in the kind of very early stages of the design build, so we're still working with concept and schematic drawings. This is a great opportunity for, if you want to see what it's like to get, involved in pricing very early stage stuff. Contracting here probably won't be happening till the end of this year. But it's definitely something that you can express interest in and start seeing kind of how drawings are going to be progressing, so that when the bidding documents do come out, you have some familiarity with the project and you're able to bid on it. Same with Garfield Elementary School. That's also, we were just awarded that in the last month. And that's going to be, it's a design build construction. I think they're out there right now doing some test pits and figuring out what the soil conditions are. But I believe DCPS just approved our initial concept budget. And I think second week of June, we should have the initial schematic drawings coming out there. Then the rest are residential facilities. 3450 Eads and New Bethany are both projects here in DC. This is another developer-led project. It's the NDC is the client, the Neighborhood Development Corporation, as well. Great developers, primarily focused on building really nice, modern housing that is also very affordable. Both of those projects have CBE, First Source, Section 3, their wage scale, right? So those are also, and all of the above jobs also have all of those requirements as well. And if you're not sure what any of those are, no worries, ask a question. Melville Rad is DCHA. This is the project that keeps getting delayed and delayed and delayed. We were supposed to have started this month, but I believe now it's pushed to Q1 of next year. So, again, it's five buildings across the city, and there's going to be kind of work in place happening across all of those 5 buildings. So there, if you're kind of a smaller, newer firm that's kind of just trying to get your foot in the door, there might be some real opportunities on this project because it's going to be smaller scopes, right? So I'm kind of looking forward to it because, like, all right, I get to work with every mom and pop shop in the city for this one. So that's what I look forward to. And then the last 2 are, one is a residential, the other is a recreational facility. They're both out in Prince George's County, but both of these projects have, in DC, we have CBE. Outside of the district, we have to focus on minority and women-owned business enterprises. And Prince George's County in particular they have sub-goals where we're specifically seeking either women-owned or African-American owned businesses, because they'll have an overall goal, but then they'll say within this goal, you've got to hit these different types of classes of businesses. It's really interesting how they try to achieve that equity in Maryland. I'm a fan of that system. So there will also be opportunities there. Marlow Heights is in the design phase right now, and Hampton Park I think there's still some bidding opportunities there for some of the finishing trades. And that's it for that. So I'm gonna turn it over to Ruben now, I guess, right, Lindsay? To kind of talk a little bit about the Mentor Protege program, his experience with it. And
Hi, everyone. How are you? Johnny, good to see you.
good seeing you, Ruben.
Indeed. So a couple of things have been resonating listening to both you and Lindsay about one being value alignment and the ease with which companies can work with MCN. So let me start with the value or values alignment. It's not advisable to connect with a firm that doesn't see the world the same way that you do. The possibility of financial gain or growing your business would be elusive if you partner with a firm that just doesn't see the world the same way. So if they're abrasive, if they don't have a familial culture, whatever it is that you believe will get you there, what drove you to start your business in the first place, how you like your employees to feel, how you like your customers to feel. When partnering with a firm, stepping into that relationship, you should feel that they're going to help you achieve each of those goals or most of them, doing business the way they do business. It's been a pleasure getting to know the folks at MCN. And I'm not saying this because I'm on the Zoom call. I'm here on a construction site. We all have better things to do. The smaller we are, the less time we have to waste, right? I thought it was important that I share with similarly sized firms how good it is to work with MCN and how they are committed to opening up their kimono and showing firms how to scale. The first time we met, gosh, it's been about 4.5 years. It seems longer, but maybe 4.5 years ago. We didn't start doing business for another year or so. It was organic. We got to know each other. We met for lunch. The leadership took time out. We met for lunch. We had breakfast. They brought me in to meet people at every layer of the company, and I learned a lot about how they do business and how they see the world before ever accepting a contract from them. They really got to see how my firm worked. They got to look at some of our projects. They saw my expertise we were developing. And so by the time we decided to actually start doing business, they knew exactly where to place me. And we had a small project, and they put serious project management because they wanted to make sure that their customers were not going to be disappointed with anyone they put on the job. And even though we had established this relationship, they weren't going to risk anything. And they had 2 or 3 layers of management. Brian Abel runs a very tight shop, highly competent vice president of construction, and his team, his project managers come out there and see what you're doing. And then they give you rope, depending on how confident they are that you can execute on the scope that you signed on for. Fortunately for us, they stopped coming by every day, and they started coming by once a week. And I think that's what really gave them the confidence that we were good on whatever we put our hand up for. Once we said we were going to do something, we executed it to the best of our abilities. If there was any challenge, we told them. There's no bad news unless it's news delivered late, right? Just whatever it is on a construction site, it's just news. So they expect you to be free with communication. and don't be embarrassed about inability or mistake. And that speaks a lot about how well they support. I don't know about other folks, but I can speak for how supportive they've been to us. We actually had a project that we delivered, and the customer hired another firm outside of our contract completely. And there was an incident that caused damage to the work we delivered 3 days after we delivered a finished project. And school was opening in I think like 2 weeks, and we dove back in with their support and rebuilt a third of what we had constructed in that 2-week period, running 2 crews every day. But it was purely collaborative. It was such a collaborative effort. I think that really cemented us as a team, and knew that we would be there for each other. I was not going to let them look bad, and they were going to support us as best they could to raise the image of our firm as folks who can deliver. The thing about scaling is that got to have the resources, right? Have to plan. Don't ask for additional work, and I'm sure that everyone on the line knows this, but they've asked me to talk about the relationship, so I'm just repeating some things that may be obvious to everyone here. Asking for additional business when you've not performed work at a certain level is a scary proposition, and so gradual growth is something I would advise, and don't put yourself in a position of drinking from a fire hose. Where we've had some relationships with some firms our size that took on much larger projects than they had the capacity to perform, and ended up embarrassing themselves. That's just never good. Being ambitious is one thing, but being unrealistic is another. So finding some balance between one's ambition and one's capacity to grow in a measured way is something I heavily advise. The technical elements of becoming a larger firm is something that I've benefited from, whether it's looking at the Textura management system, looking at the way that we are able to seamlessly bid jobs. The pipeline system works so smoothly. Our bidding team, we receive plans and updated plans, and we can send that to our bidding team, internal and external. Get good feedback. If our numbers are off once, it's one thing. If they see a trend in our numbers being off, MCN that is, in our numbers being off in a particular trade consistently, I'd get a call from one of the guys. I'm like, hey, why are your numbers 10 to 12% higher than everyone else? Sometimes I'm right. If I can demonstrate that, listen, these are the prices that we've been seeing. And so it's great to have that sort of relationship where it's not like a parental sort of thing, but it's a very open and communicative relationship where at every level, I think they've been beneficial to our firm. Now, we go out and get our own business, which is the other thing. These mentor relationships are good, but it's not advisable to rely upon them exclusively for one's growth. We do less than a third of our business with MCN, and as much as I like them, I like it that way. It means that my team must go out and leverage the experience we have with MCN, performing more sophisticated jobs, larger jobs, and then taking that and marketing for our own work. And so, again, I don't know how what people's views are, but I believe that these mentor relationships should be additive and should be fuel for your business, but it's not something upon which you should exclusively rely. It's about leveraging greater experience, access to more sophistication, so that you can do this on your own. And I think that in some ways has endeared our firm to the ownership and the leadership at MCN. But I guess I'll take questions for those who have them. because we can go on. It's been a great relationship, and I really mean that. It's been a solid relationship. They look out for you. There's some opportunities that MCN received. They did not participate in these opportunities, but thought that because they know our firm now, that it was right in our wheelhouse, and they passed those opportunities along to us without receiving a dime of the opportunity. Solid, several instances. Similarly, they may have a problem because we self-perform a significant portion of our work. They may have something small, a problem that we don't necessarily will benefit from much, if at all, financially, but we're happy to step in and help because, again, it's that sort of reciprocal love, as my kids will say, that they show. So again, I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you so much for that, Ruben. It's just incredible hearing your take on the relationship. And I certainly can relate to much of what you've said, being a partner to MCN in a different sort of way, but to hear your description of it as a protege, I found myself taking away much from what you said. And I do want to invite, we have about 10 minutes left. I do want to invite those of you who are on the call, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. And while you're doing that, I'd like to ask a question. I heard you both emphasize the importance of values alignment as you're forming new relationships with potential partners. And I'd be interested if you could share some of the practical ways that you've come to kind of assess and vet the authenticity of those values as you're meeting with different businesses and considering potential partnership with them.
You want me to take it first, Johnny?
Sure.
I was brought up to believe that from one's little, you give to those who have even less, right? I believe that. I live like that. So meeting MCN, firms talk about giving back to the community. Some of these things just sound great and look great on a PowerPoint presentation. Everything about the company has charity intertwined in it. When one of the founders spends more than half his time going around the city, going around the mid-Atlantic area, going around the world, giving away portions of their profit, that's a real thing. That's how that's what I instill in my company. We make donations, we help out, we love the arts, and so we contribute heavily to that. That just made me feel that we can sit around the table and talk about similar things. We just saw the world the same way in that regard. Secondly, family. I don't know if any of you have gone by the offices at MCN. It really is a big family. Open environment, that's how our office is. Open environment, the owners interact with every level of employee there. Communal food, it's wonderful to see how what culture they've developed over there. And that's the kind of culture that we have and are striving to develop. That's 2 of 5 or 6 examples that I can give. Quality of work. There's an uncompromising standard. Again, I mentioned Brian Abel and his team, they're the pre-con guys. But once that bell hits go, shifts out into the field, and they're nice, great guys. But once that bell hits, they don't play around. But that's how I am with my folks. And so it's not about being mean, it's about being exacting, right? And I happen to like that. And so we don't take offense to them having these exacting standards, but welcome it. Again, I can go on, but those are 3 examples.
Thanks, Ruben. And the only thing I'll add to that, and I think Ruben touched on when he was talking originally about how it wasn't instant. He came, there were several lunches, there were several breakfasts, there were several meetings, and it's one thing to know about your business, but it's also another to know you as an individual and kind of what values you are bringing, especially if you're an owner, right, of a company kind of, and running the show, you're setting the tone for the rest of that staff. So it's really about just kind of the personal relationship that gets developed. And you kind of get to know somebody after a few lunches and a few breakfasts, and the formalities start disappearing and kind of the realness comes out. And that's why I always say it's not an overnight process working with us. You might find, might just by luck of the draw, you might find a subcontract that falls in your lap the next day. But we kind of need to know that, hey, you've got that desire to work and deliver something on time, on your budget, and to the workmanship that our client expects of us and that we expect of you, right? And then knowing that, hey, it's going to be really tense. Brian runs a tight ship. I've heard folks, Ruben's saying really nice things about him. I've heard others say he's a I say, well,
today I'm saying something.
Right. And I say, well, he's got a singular focus on making, we have 100% track record of delivering schools on time and on budget. And if we're building, I use this example all the time. If we're building a mall, if it's delayed a week, a month, who cares? It's a billionaire making $1 million less. There's really zero real impact on the world, except somebody with already too many zeros in their bank account not getting any more. But when you're building a school and that school doesn't open, all of us with kids anyway, that just went through this at the start of 2020, when COVID came and our schools shut down, that upended our lives. And now I've got to work and I've got to deal with my kids from home. So when a school doesn't open, there's real social impact that happens there. So yeah, we have to kind of drive the boat or captain the boat and steer it and make sure that we're always on track and gonna do things. And kind of like when you're working in that level of stressful of an environment, it's really helpful if you get along with and you have kind of the same goal in mind and you're all pulling the rope in the same direction, right? If you're not getting along, if you don't get along with the person and you're in conflict on the site, that's not good for anybody. So, that's why we sometimes take our time getting to know you, but that's one of the reasons is we got to make sure that, hey, this is the real authentic version of this person and this company that we're going to be dealing with. Because it's not a matter of if something is going to go wrong on a job site, it's a matter of when, right? We all know that there's going to be issues in those last couple of months. It's going to be everybody pulling their hair out. Everybody that has hair pulling it out. A lot of our guys on sites don't have that much hair left because I think they've pulled it out. But it's, again, having that good personal relationship, being that aligned that way. We know that we're working for a common good that is bigger than either of us. And we can set aside our differences to get the job done for the benefit of the community that we're building for. So that's really critical piece, is just kind of taking the time. I might slow things down a bit, but taking the time to really get to know who you're working with will save a lot of trouble on the back end.
I love that. And I'm so glad that we have such a great example of that in the relationship that MCN and Citadel has been able to develop over the years. And I didn't realize 4.5, 5 years that you all have been working together. That's incredible. Well, thank you both.
I'm sorry, I was going to add one thing to that. I think kind of like the formal mentor-protege agreement has probably expired, but it's again, because the values are there, because that relationship is there, we still consider, okay. I mean, Ruben's going to graduate from he's already graduated as a protege, but the relationship keeps going and it builds on. And as you mentioned before, there's lots of bids that come our way now, like, nope, that's too small for us, but that's perfect for Ruben. So we just pass on that opportunity directly to him. And because we know he's going to make us look good. If I'm referring, I find a lot of folks' jobs. I do a lot of workforce development for MCN. And I get a lot of folks reaching out, thank you for, and we have an expression in Arabic that loosely translates to thank you for making me look good for referring you. Type of, it's kind of in a nutshell, that's what that means. And it's kind of like, these clients are very important for us. It's our lifeblood. This particular opportunity they're presenting to me doesn't interest me because it's too small. But I know in a couple of years, they're going to have a project that I'm going to, you know, bend over backwards to get. And so whoever I want to refer to them to do something small, if I refer somebody and they don't do well, it makes me look awful. I've lost that future business. But knowing you've got a solid partner that'll perform and knock things out of the park, it's very easy to refer somebody that's going to make you look good. And you know, that's kind of what we strive for with these relationships.
Yeah,
So thank you for being
absolutely.
a great partner, Ruben.
Indeed, it's my pleasure.
Well, on that note, thank you both so much. Again, you've dropped some serious nuggets, and I appreciate the extra time you took just now, Johnny, to dig even deeper on the power of referrals and all that comes before that makes that referral one that you can confidently provide, and just the ripple effect of that. So thank you both again. I do want to ask Raina if we could pull up our slide. So I mentioned earlier that this webinar is the first in a mini series that we're doing. Our next webinar is tomorrow with Georgetown University. They'll be talking about their newly launched supplier diversity program and how to get involved with that. That's tomorrow at 10 a.m. And then the following week on Wednesday, June 1st, we'll do an RFP training with a specific focus on pricing. So thank you again to everyone who has joined this afternoon. This has been a really great conversation. Thank you so much, Johnny and Ruben, for your time and for your wisdom. And I hope that you all have a great rest of your day.
You too now.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.